Hello everyone. So just wanted to record a relatively short video lesson as I noticed that a few of you were struggling with percentages and percentage changes and stuff like that, or you're not sure how to do that more efficiently, and we will have to calculate price elasticity of demand for the test. So I figured that why don't I give you this little lesson. I just didn't want to waste time from the actual lesson on that. So first of all, the word percent, it basically is consists of two words. The per in English means for each, for each, or for every, and cent is actually a Latin word that means 100. Quite literally. So that's why your $1 is equal to 100 cents. It's just 100, okay? So when we think about the percentage, we want to remember that we all learn fractions, right? This is one of the first things we learn in math is fractions. So percentage is really nothing else but a fraction, and let me show you how it is done. So for example, we have a 50 over 100, that's your fraction, but if you want to convert it into a percentage, it would be 50%. So this symbol, the symbol, is actually just this. It just helps us to write it more efficiently, right? So you can also convert it into decimals. So 50% is 0.5. And let me show you why. So we all start learning fractions from pies, right? So we have this whole pie, it's just one full pie, right? Your one full pie. One. If you want to take 50% of this pie, that would be a half, right? So this is 50%. 50% from 1 is 0.5. So it's the same thing. You can write it as 100% or 1, or 50% as 0.5. If you think about 25%, that is 25%. And how to convert it into the decimals? You take a point from here and you move it twice. 1, 2. And it's here. So it's 0.25. Okay? So every time you want to convert a number from percentage into decimals, you take the dot from here and you move it 2 times into here. So for example, if you have 3%, how would you write it in decimals? You take your point from here, 1, 2, 0, 3. Okay, makes sense? Hope it does. Or like 97% would be 1, 2, 0.97. Okay, so can a fraction be larger than 100? Of course it can. 130 over 100, I believe it's called improper fraction. So it is, you remove the 100, you put the percentage sign, it's 130%. How do you convert it into a decimal? Same way. You have a point here, 1, 2. So it's 1.30. You don't have to write the last zero, of course. Okay, let's go into the actual examples. So we have a first quantity. Quantity 1 is equal to 30. And then, for example, price as decreased. And by the law of demand, if we think about quantity demanded, the quantity would increase by 40%. So 40% is 1, 2. So 0.4, correct? So you would have your full pie, which is 30. It's 1 pie. And you to add it, because you need to make this number larger, right? It's increased by 40%. It cannot be lower than 30, right? And you also have your 40% of that pie, right? So it's 4. There is your number, 1.4. So you can do the long way. So how to calculate it mathematically? The long way would be to first find out how much is it 0.4 from 30. So you take your 30, you multiply it by either 40% on your calculator or 0.4, you will receive the same result of 12. And then you take your step 2, you take your 30 plus 12, and that is 42. Or you can do the short way, and you take your 30 and multiply it by 1. So it's just 30, right? The whole pie. You take the full pie, 0.4. And that would be 42%. So I hope that makes sense for you. So if you have $100, okay, and you want to multiply it by 0.4 to find out how much is it 40%, it would be 40. If you take the same $100, multiply it by 1.4, that would be 140. If you take your 100, multiplied by 2.4, it would be 240. These can all be percentages, of course, right? So if you have price 1 of $100 and it increased by 40%, you just do 100 multiply by 1.4. Because the price has increased, you just add 40% on the top of it. So you multiply it by 1 full pie, an addition of 40%, and it becomes $140. Okay, so I hope that explains. Now, next thing that I wanted to show you how to do is how to decrease something. So you have your old quantity demanded, 1 is 30. Let's go to back to our original example of 30. And let's say that the price has increased, and hence the quantity demanded decreases by 30%. What will be the final quantity for that good? So we know that 30 is 1 to 0.3. Okay, so the long way, if you want to show, I'll just want to show you the long way. First is you find out how much is it 30% from 30. So 30 multiplied by 0.3 on your calculator, it's 9. And the second step, you take your 30 minus 9, and it's 21. But instead of doing this, what you could do to make it easy for you is you take your 100% minus 30%, it would be 70%. Or you take your 1 minus 0.3, 0.7, right? So the shortcut, is to take your 30 and multiply it by 0.7, and it would be 21. So quantity 2 would be 21. Make sense? I really hope it does. So, and one final thing, because I've seen some faces in class which still don't know that, so I really want to show you that. Percentage change. How do we find percentage change? It's always the new value minus old value divided by old value multiplied by 100%. So let's do an example very quickly. So percentage change, if we had quantity 1 was 30, quantity 2 is 42. What's the percentage change? We just did the example before, right? So the percentage change here would be the new value, 42, minus 30 over 30 multiplied by 100%. That is 40%. Okay? Or 0.4. It's the same thing. Now, price elasticity of demand. If we remember, how do we calculate it? Is percentage change in quantity over percentage change in price. And I don't know why I put the brackets there. There shouldn't be any brackets. So let's just do one final example and I'm going to be done with that. So we have old values and we have new values. So the old value, for example, was the original price was $10. And at that original price, the quantity demanded was 200 apples, for example. And we have the price which has decreased, so it's now $8. What would happen to the quantity demanded? Answer it right now before I continue. Would it increase or decrease? By the law of demand, when price decreases, quantity increases, right? That's why we have the downwards facing slope. So like this, right? Okay. So the quantity is now 300. Let's find out the price elasticity of demand. So step one, we find the percentage change in quantity. That would be the new value, 300, minus the old value, 200, divided by 200 would be, and multiplied by 100%, and that would be 50% or 0.5. Well, we need percentage change, so we stick to 50%. The second step, percentage change in price. Again, the new value of $8 minus the old value of $10 minus $10 multiplied by 100%, and that is minus 20%. Okay? So the third step, PED is equal to 50% over minus 20%. The percentages cancel themselves out, and you're left with a coefficient of 2.5. So that is your price elasticity of demand. So I hope that would help some of you, or many of you, or maybe all of you. And I really wish you best luck on the test, and I see you on Thursday.